In this video, I'm breaking down the top 10 web design trends for 2026 and if you should actually use them on your website. If you want your website to stand out this year, keep watching. The first trend I'm continuing to see is bold color, but with strategy. The bright, energetic colors of 2025 are not going anywhere. However, I am seeing a decrease in the neon. That was really big towards the end of 2024 and into 2025. Instead of having neon, I'm seeing more strong neutrals, but then incorporating really bold colors, kind of like this website. I'm also seeing a lot of websites that use just one accented color, whether it's a red, cobalt, an electric blue, something like that. I'm seeing a lot of those Crayola box colors used over and over again, and I am absolutely loving this. It creates visual interest without feeling super overwhelming, and it keeps your website feeling really fresh instead of chaotic. So, if you are DIYing your website, try to just find one or two. Jenna Kutcher uses a ton, but she has a brand designer she worked with and they work really well together. If you're trying to DIY your website, you really don't want to do a whole bunch of colors right off the bat. It'll just probably end up feeling very overwhelming. So pick one or two accent colors and use them intentionally throughout the website to highlight things. Another thing, if you are wanting to DIY your website, I have a free training that teaches you how to do it in just a weekend. My strategy for figuring out your colors, picking out your fonts, and then creating the website quickly and incorporating search engine optimization. Trend number two is subtle motion. Flashy animations were all over the place last year, and I'm seeing them be a little bit more dialed back. Think micro interactions. So, whether it's like a subtle hover effect over a button or a gentle transition, maybe a scroll trigger like revealing something, it's supposed to support the clarity and not be a distraction on the website. This is especially important for conversion. Motion should guide users where to go next and not compete for the attention. We saw maximalism on websites in 2025 with like those crazy animations. And I'm really hoping that people will dial it back a little bit this year. So, quick rule of thumb for that is if the animation doesn't support the action that you want someone to take, it probably doesn't belong. If your brand doesn't have a lot of photography, you are going to love this trend. This is using typography as a whole personality. And it also works really well if you have really strong messaging and you want to get that across. So, what are some ways that you can do this practically? You can use really bold, big, huge headlines, make them oversized, consider even bigger than your normal H1s, and bumping that up. That's one way you could do it. Another way you could do it is mixing font pairings. So, having, maybe a sans serif in the middle of a serif paragraph or just italicizing it. Another thing I see a lot is having moving text like this website as well as this. And you can achieve this pretty easily on Squarespace and Showit. I will link a blog post below about how I do it. So just consider, using serif fonts if you're a luxury brand, and then using italics where you can, and it really can up level your design. This website worked really well with the prior trend. As you can see, it is using typography as a whole personality, but it also leads me into trend number 4, which is editorial type layouts and brand storytelling. So some things to notice about this type of trend. You want to think of layered section, overlapping images and text, some asymmetry, white space used on purpose, and maybe some scroll triggered moments that reveal the story. Another thing that I love that this website does is it just kind of feels like with these two columns of text, like it feels like a magazine, right? And this trend pairs beautifully with service-based businesses and personal brands, especially if your narrative is your brand. So just think, does your brand tell a story? And if so, this could be a really great incorporation into your website. Trend number 5, the glam era is back. Think black and white, high contrast, and luxury. It's one of my favorite trends that's emerging in 2026. It's just rich, it's moody, there's some saturated tones, and different ways that you can see this played out. Black and white foundations, this website does it really well. Pops of red, I'm also seeing, like, even if it was just like a little heart with, love, Becca or whatever, and that was part of your brand, just kind of seeing them off to the side. High quality photography is really big for this one. Clean layouts with premium spacing. Minimal but intentional animations, kind of like this one right here, just a little GIF slowly rotating between photos. This is great for coaches, creatives, luxury service providers, personal brands positioning themselves as more high end. And it feels very confident, very polished, and it is so timeless. If you have a super fun brand, you will love this one. Or if your brand is just something that is very hands on, this is a great trend for you to incorporate. And that's human touches throughout the website. Especially as AI continues to grow, websites are kind of swinging even harder in the human element. So adding in this little smiley face and just the font being really fun. Um, these circles that are just nice, they look hand drawn. And also, side note, those are very easy to achieve in Squarespace. You kind of just highlight the text and then you can choose a circle, an underline, a squiggly line. Scribbles are all over the place. Doodles, cutouts, collage style things are really big. You want to show the work in progress. Photos that are unpolished are also really popular. So I know in the past it's been you want to get your brand photography, you want your website to look just super polished. And for some brands, that's true. But for other brands, maybe snapping a photo on your iPhone is exactly what you need. I love how this one does it as well. They just fun elements. It feels like a scrapbook. Trend number 7 kind of goes along with the prior trend, and it's showing the process, not just the result. People don't just want to know what you do, they want to understand how you think. Process builds credibility and connection. So let me show you some ways that this is done. Okay, so think blueprint style layout with like lines pointing to elements or tiny labels. Like I said, in 2026, trust is being built by showing sketches of the process, maybe some mood boards, early drafts, behind the scenes decisions, maybe a before alongside an after, maybe like outline drawings, almost like the product is being taken apart. There was a great example of that right here. And it's actually kind of an animation. But as you can see, it looks like it's being taken apart. It looks more down to earth, and it's showing the process. This is getting long and I don't want to waste your time, so I'm going to cruise through the last 3. Number 8, organic shapes, curves, maybe like lace details. Curves are everywhere and they're getting more softer and more detailed. I'm seeing like that doily inspired edges. I'm also seeing lace like section dividers, round, and that also kind of adds to that mood board type of feel. Rounded containers, flowing organic silhouettes. Pinterest actually has called this the lace is back era. So if Pinterest made that claim for 2026, I think I'm going to probably start seeing it throughout websites. Number 9, AI is a tool, but it's not the brand. Obviously, I had to mention this. AI powered features are baked into many, many platforms, from copy suggestions to layout ideas. In Squarespace, you can even have AI help you with your SEO, which is amazing. In 2026, brands that stand out are using AI for speed, efficiency, and brainstorming, but they're not letting it replace strategy, your voice, messaging, or your personality. So just keep that in mind. Your website really should still sound like you. And then the last one I had to mention is minimalism, because I'm super excited about this as someone who has always been more of a minimalist type of brand. For a while, the past couple of years, it was maximalism, it was bold, it was crazy, right? And I was getting a little dejected because I was like, do I need to do that for my brand? Like, that's not me. That's not my vibe. And so I surveyed my audience. I, did a poll of my 2,000 email subscribers, and I was surprised to see that 57.1% said they preferred minimalism to colorful, bold, or boho, or modern and edgy. So my audience still likes the minimalist type of design. And so I did on my website incorporate some of these elements last year, but it's still a very minimalist website. And what I mean by minimalist is clear hierarchy, thoughtful spacing, really intentional color. We're still using a lot of white space. And another reason I think minimalism is actually on its way back is because of AI. Allow me to explain. Designers are following AI platforms as well. And so let's take a look at OpenAI as well as Perplexity. There is a lot of white space. It is super minimalistic. And I just think a lot of websites are going to become more stripped down They're going to use skinny sans serifs, kind of like this, and just a few colors. And if you are someone, again, who's trying to DIY your website, this is probably the route to go because it's so easy for people who are DIYing it to put everything and anything. They want to tell their whole brand story. They want to post all their pictures on their iPhone, and it gets really overwhelming fast. So I'm going to link my free training below, how to DIY a website in a weekend with strategy. And if you guys have any other thoughts on 2026 website design trends, please put them in the comments. I would love to hear what you are seeing throughout the year.